If she doesn't make it, the house is already in my name. It will be over soon. Quiet sounded good. Good. Very good. The room got quiet at the wrong moment. That's how Nurse Tasha Odom would remember it later. Not the machines, not the voices, the quiet. The kind that only happens when people stop pretending. Room 7 of Harlow Medical Center had been loud since midnight. Dr. Simone Adeyemi had been on her feet for 19 hours by then. She was 33 years old. A high-risk delivery specialist who had seen more close calls than she could count. She did not panic. She did not guess. She stayed and she worked and she watched. The patient's name was Briggs, 27 years old, 39 weeks. Admitted at midnight with a placental tear that moved faster than anyone had predicted. By 2 o'clock in the morning, her blood pressure was dropping in the slow, steady way that means the body is making decisions the doctors haven't made yet. By 3:45, the room had the specific energy of people working at the edge of what they know how to do. At 3:47, Maya's heart stopped. Dr. Adeyemi called it. She started compressions. The crash team arrived in under a minute. In the hallway outside room 7, 3 people waited. They had been there since 1 o'clock in the morning. Long enough that the night shift nurses had started paying attention. Not because they were loud, because of the way they were positioned. Like people waiting for something they had already decided was going to happen. The man was Dex Briggs. 31. Broad shoulders. Good jaw. The kind of man who walked into rooms expecting them to reorganize around him. He had a phone in his hand and checked it every few minutes. He had come in at 1:15. Pressed his lips to Maya's forehead while she was still awake. Squeezed her hand once and then stepped out to make calls. Next to him stood a woman in a green satin top. Her name was Farah. She had been introduced to the nursing staff as Dex's cousin visiting from out of town. Which Tasha Odom noted was inconsistent with the way Dex's hand drifted to the back of her waist when he thought the hallway was empty. On Dex's other side stood his mother, Renata Briggs. Mid-60s. Cashmere cardigan. Gold earrings. The bearing of a woman who had never once in her life been told no and had constructed an entire personality around that fact. She had acknowledged Maya's admission to the hospital with the expression of someone whose dinner reservation had been cancelled. Dr. Adeyemi had clocked all 3 of them at 1:30 when she stepped out to give an update. She'd given the update. She'd gone back inside. She had not forgotten what she saw. At 3:52, drive. Adeyemi came through the door. Her face was the practiced neutral that takes years to build. The face that holds everything back until the words do it. Dex looked up from his phone. Is she? We lost her heartbeat at 3:47, drive. Adeyemi said. We are working to bring her back. The situation is critical. Something moved across Dex's face that Tasha, watching from the nurse's station, would think about for weeks. It was not grief. It was something that wore grief's clothes but moved differently underneath. Something that was already doing math. Farah's hand found his arm. Renata said, what about the baby? We are doing everything we can for both of them, drive. Adeyemi said, and went back through the door. The 4:01. Tasha heard something she was not supposed to hear. She was charting 12 feet away. The hallway was quiet. Dex's voice was low, but not low enough. If she doesn't make it, he said, the house reverts to joint title. I had it redrawn in October. Renata's response was quieter. Tasha only caught the last 3 words. Finally. About time. Farah said nothing. She adjusted the strap of her bag and looked at the door to room 7 with an expression that Tasha would later describe as impatient. Tasha set her pen down. She looked at the door. She thought about Dr. Adeyemi on the other side of it. Fighting for a woman whose husband was in the hallway talking about property transfers. She picked her pen back up. She watched. At 4:23, the monitor in room 7 stopped flatlining. It was not dramatic. It rarely is. It was a flutter. Then a beat. Then a rhythm that found itself the way a person finds their footing after a fall. Uncertain at first, then steadier, then real. Dr. Adeyemi, who had not stopped moving for 36 minutes, felt something loosen in her chest that she hadn't known was clenched. She stood at the bedside and looked at the monitor. Then she looked at Maya, 27 years old. Dark hair on the pillow. Oxygen mask. Fragile vitals. Alive. Then the secondary screen updated. Dr. Adeyemi looked at it for 30 seconds without speaking. Then she called Tasha in. Tasha looked at the screen. Then at Drive. Adeyemi. Then at the screen again. Does the family know? Tasha asked. No, Drive. Adeyemi said. Not yet. The way she said not yet carried a weight that neither of them commented on. At 4:31, Drive. Adeyemi stepped back into the hallway. Dex looked up. She's alive, Drive. Adeyemi said. 2 seconds of silence. 2 seconds where three faces moved from whatever they actually were to whatever they decided to show. Dex said, thank God. Correct words. Correct volume. Correct expression. 1 second too slow. Renata said, when can we see her? She's unconscious and needs to remain that way for now, Drive. Adeyemi said, the situation is still delicate. She paused. There is something else I need to speak with you about. All three of you. She gestured toward the small consultation room at the end of the corridor. The one with the round table and the box of tissues and nothing on the walls. The room where news gets delivered sitting down. Tasha did not follow them in. She wasn't invited. But the consultation room had a window onto the hallway. And she had charting that needed to be done at the station directly across from it. She could see their faces. She couldn't hear the words. She watched Dex receive the information. She watched Farah's grip tighten on her purse strap. She watched Renata's hand go to the gold chain at her throat and stay there. Whatever Drive. Adeyemi was telling them, it was not what they had expected. What Drive. Adeyemi told them was this. Maya Briggs had not been carrying one baby. She had been carrying two. The second twin, smaller, positioned behind the first throughout the pregnancy in a way that appeared on early scans as a shadow, had been monitored closely since week 21. Both had been delivered by emergency cesarean during the resuscitation. The pressure reduction was the reason resuscitation had been possible at all. Twin stable, 3 lb 11 ounces. NICU. Breathing with assistance. Twin B stable, 4 lb 1 ounce. NICU. Breathing independently. Both expected to survive. Their mother expected to survive. Doctor. Adeyemi delivered this in her careful, neutral doctor's voice. She watched the faces on the other side of the table. Dex's face did something complicated. Not relief rearranging itself. Something else. The look of a man who had been 3 moves deep into a game and just discovered the board had more pieces than he'd counted. Renata went very still in a way that was different from the stillness of someone receiving good news. Farah looked at Dex. Dex did not look at Farah. Doctor. Adeyemi let the silence run until it became its own kind of data. Then she said, I want to be completely clear. Your wife is alive. Your children are alive. All 3 of them will need significant care in the coming weeks. She said your wife the way people say words they have chosen very deliberately. All need the family's full support to be available. She said family the same way. Dex walked out of the consultation room first. Jaw set. Phone out before he reached the door. He looked at the screen. Put it away. Took it out again. Renata walked out second. Her hand went back to the gold chain. She touched it once like checking it was still there. Farah walked out last and didn't look at either of them. None of the 3 spoke. After a moment, Dex turned and walked toward the elevator. Not toward room 7, toward the elevator. Tasha watched him go. Then she went to room 7 and stood in the doorway and looked at the woman in the bed. The mask. The monitor with its steady rhythm. 2 empty bassinets waiting beside the window. And thought about the way some things arrange themselves. Not cleanly. Not without damage. But into something that holds. Maya Briggs regained full consciousness 41 hours later. In those first moments, she knew none of it. She didn't know she'd been unconscious for nearly 2 days. She didn't know her heart had stopped. She didn't know about the twins 2 floors up getting stronger by the hour. What she knew was that Dr. Adeyemi was sitting beside the bed. Not standing. Sitting. Later, Maya would say that was the thing that told her it was okay before any words were spoken. Because doctors who sit are not delivering catastrophe. They are staying. There are some things I need to tell you. Dr. Adeyemi said, I'm going to tell you all of it, and I'm going to be right here while I do. She was. The twins' names came later. Maya asked to see them before she named them. The NICU team arranged it with a wheelchair and more care than was strictly necessary. Because Tasha had made certain requests on Maya's behalf that the team honored without asking for full explanations. The first time Maya held both of them, one in each arm in the soft NICU light. She didn't speak for a long time. She just looked at their faces, tiny and red and stubbornly completely alive. They were both in there the whole time, she said finally. The whole time. Dr. Adeyemi confirmed. Maya looked at them. Nobody knew. I knew. Dr. Adeyemi said, I'd been watching both of them since week 21. Every appointment. Maya was quiet for a moment. What happened with Dex? She asked it the way people ask questions whose answers they've already half assembled. Dr. Adeyemi was careful. She was honest. She gave Maya what she needed in the order she could absorb it. Maya listened. Her face went still in the way faces go still when people are deciding, not whether to be devastated, they already know they will be, but who they're going to be about it. She looked at her daughters. She thought about 3 people in a hallway. She thought about a doctor who sat down. I want to talk to a lawyer, she said. Before I talk to my husband. I can help arrange that. Dr. Adeyemi said. No pause. No hesitation. The lawyer came on day 4. Dex came on day 5. He brought flowers, real ones from an actual florist, stems wrapped in brown paper the way expensive flowers come. He stood in the doorway looking at Maya in the bed and at the 2 occupied bassinets beside the window. And he said her name with the quality of a man who had rehearsed the moment and was now performing it. Maya looked at him. Sit down, Dex, he said. She told him what she knew. She told him what she had already started. She said it in the calm, clear voice of a woman who had been dead and come back and was no longer afraid of the things she'd been afraid of before. He spoke. Some of what he said were apologies. They varied in quality. Some of it were explanations, which she let him finish before pointing out that she hadn't asked for them. He left 2 hours later. The flowers stayed. Maya moved them to the windowsill and looked at her daughters. She had decided on their names. Reese and Ren, her grandmother's middle names. Names that had seemed right for children who arrived against the odds. Reese was sleeping. Ren was awake, studying the light from the window with the focused, serious attention of someone who had just arrived somewhere and was taking inventory. It's okay, Maya told her. We've got time. Dr. Adeyemi stopped by room 7 every day for the 12 days Maya was in the hospital. Not always long, sometimes just to check the chart. Ask how the night went. Stand at the window for a moment. Once, when the room was quiet and the twins were both asleep and the afternoon had settled into itself, she sat in the chair beside the bed the same way she had on the first day. Maya said without preamble, You stayed. Yes. In the hallway. While you were working. Pause. You already knew. About them. Dr. Adeyemi considered this. I knew some things. I didn't know everything. But you sat down when you told me. I did. Maya looked at Reese and Ren in the soft light. Thank you, she said, for staying, for sitting, for all of it. Dr. Adeyemi nodded. She looked at the 2 of them, small, determined, impossibly here, sleeping in the afternoon with the absolute peace of those who don't yet know what came before them. They're going to be something, drive. Adeyemi said. I know, Maya said quietly. I think they already are. Some rooms go quiet at the wrong moment, but the monitors keep running, and the people who stay are the only ones who ever mattered. And sometimes what everyone in the hallway was certain was the end turns out to be the most complicated, most stubborn, most alive kind of beginning. The bassinets weren't empty. They never were.